Detachment is not about ignoring her, punishing her, or trying to manipulate her. It's about returning to yourself, reclaiming your emotional center, and reconnecting with the version of you that existed long before any woman entered your life. A woman only respects a man who is grounded, a man who cannot be shaken by her moods, her silence, her distance, or her mixed signals. When you detach completely, you shift the power dynamic back into its natural state, where you no longer chase validation, no longer react to emotional turbulence, and no longer measure your worth through her level of interest. Instead, you stand firm in who you are, and this is the state that makes a woman feel safe, attracted, and deeply respectful. Most men lose themselves in relationships because they get too attached to the outcome. They start caring more about keeping her than keeping their self-respect. They stop focusing on their mission and start focusing on her mood. They start adjusting their behavior to avoid upsetting her. They shrink, soften, and slowly disconnect from their masculine edge. A woman can sense this instantly. The moment a man's emotional center shifts from his purpose to her, the polarity breaks. She stops seeing him as a leader. She starts seeing him as someone who needs reassurance, approval, or constant attention. And respect begins to fade. Detachment restores this balance. When you detach, your energy returns to yourself. You stop overthinking what she feels and start focusing on where you're going. You stop trying to fix things and start allowing things to reveal themselves. This grounded silence, this calm emotional independence, transforms your presence. You become heavier, more stable, more confident, not because you're pretending, but because you've stopped leaking energy outward. You're no longer trying to control anything. You're simply living. Women are deeply attuned to a man's internal state. They can feel your energy before you speak a word. When you're anxious, she feels it. When you're desperate for her attention, she feels it. When you're trying too hard to keep the connection alive, she senses the pressure. That pressure makes her pull back. But when you detach, the pressure disappears. You become light in your interaction, yet heavy in your presence. You stop chasing, you stop questioning, and you stop reacting emotionally to her behavior, and something powerful happens. She begins to relax. Women relax into the presence of a man who is emotionally predictable but not easily moved. She feels more feminine when you are solidly masculine, and masculine energy is not about dominance or aggression. It's about being unshakable. It's about being so rooted in your identity, your priorities, and your mission that you don't depend on the external world or on her to feel whole. This is the trait that earns a woman's long-term respect. Detachment is the gateway to that state. When you detach completely, you start seeing things more clearly. You no longer interpret her behavior through fear or desire. You're not afraid of losing her, so you don't overlook disrespect. You don't ignore red flags. You don't tolerate inconsistent effort. You begin to see whether her actions align with her words. You notice whether she invests, whether she reciprocates, and whether she genuinely values your presence. This clarity is impossible to access when you are emotionally entangled. As you detach, your routine starts changing. You naturally begin prioritizing your goals, your health, your money, your mindset, and your growth. You reconnect with the discipline that makes you feel powerful as a man. You spend more time building and less time worrying. You feel a renewed sense of purpose because your energy is no longer tied to someone else's perception of you. This alone changes your energy in a way she can feel instantly. A man busy with his purpose radiates a different frequency. He becomes more valuable not because of ego, but because of alignment. Another transformation that detachment brings is the removal of emotional neediness. Neediness is the root of disrespect. Women lose respect when they sense a man needs them more than they need him. Neediness shows up as over-texting, over-explaining, over-apologizing, or trying to reassure her constantly. Detachment eliminates this because your peace no longer depends on her reactions. You become okay with whatever happens. You're okay if she stays and okay if she leaves. This neutrality is magnetic. It communicates strength without aggression, confidence without arrogance, and certainty without force. A woman respects a man who maintains emotional boundaries. When you detach, your boundaries naturally tighten. You stop entertaining disrespect. You stop rewarding inconsistent behavior. You stop prioritizing her over yourself. You no longer bend your standards to keep her comfortable. You show up authentically, and you allow her to respond however she chooses. You're no longer trying to be the man she wants. You're simply being the man you are. And ironically, this is what makes her want you more. Detachment doesn't push her away, it invites her to step up. When she senses that you are no longer emotionally dependent, she starts investing. She initiates more. She becomes more affectionate. She starts respecting your time and presence. She becomes more consistent. She starts admiring your composure. All of this happens because your energy shifts from pursuing her to pursuing your purpose. She feels the difference. She feels the masculine leadership she was craving. She feels the calm stability that makes her feel safe to follow your lead. In detachment, you also regain control over your emotions. You stop reacting impulsively. You communicate from a place of strength rather than insecurity. You stop arguing, stop proving points, and stop trying to be right. You detach from the need to win and focus instead on staying centered. This emotional control is rare. It is powerful, and a woman deeply respects a man who can remain calm under pressure. When you detach from a woman, something shifts inside her mind that she cannot ignore. The space you create becomes a mirror that reflects her behavior back to her. The silence becomes louder than any words you ever spoke. The distance forces her to confront feelings she has been avoiding, and the lack of attention from you begins to activate a psychological response that every woman experiences when a man she once felt connected to suddenly withdraws emotionally. This is not manipulation, this is human nature. When you stop giving what was once constant, she becomes aware of how valuable it actually was. A woman's imagination is one of the most powerful forces in a relationship. When you constantly reassure, message, explain, pursue, or try to fix the dynamic, you eliminate mystery. You remove uncertainty. You give her no room to feel anything because you're filling the space with effort. But when you detach, that space becomes a psychological vacuum. She starts thinking about you in ways she didn't before. She starts replaying memories, analyzing your silence, questioning her choices, and wondering why the energy between you changed so drastically. This mental shift is the foundation of renewed respect. Most men assume women lose interest because they detached. The truth is, they lose interest because you were too available, too predictable, too emotionally invested in keeping her happy rather than staying aligned with your own masculine center. When you detach, she suddenly feels the contrast. She feels the absence of your presence, your validation, your consistency. Women are emotional beings, and emotions thrive on contrast. She cannot feel your value if you never remove your presence long enough for her to notice it. Detachment gives her the emotional space to rediscover what you meant to her. When she doesn't hear from you, her mind naturally fills in the blanks. She begins to wonder where you are, what you're doing, and more importantly, who has your attention now. The attention she used to take for granted becomes rare, rare becomes valuable, and value creates desire. At first, she may brush it off, she may act unbothered, she may pretend she's too busy to notice, but internally, questions start piling up. She wonders why you didn't react, she wonders why you didn't chase, she wonders why the man who once cared so deeply suddenly feels so distant and self-contained. What detachment does is trigger a psychological shift from comfort to curiosity. Comfort kills attraction. Curiosity fuels it. When you detach, she no longer knows where she stands with you, and this makes her want clarity. Women crave emotional certainty, but they also crave emotional stimulation. Your detachment forces her to invest mentally again. She's no longer passively receiving your effort. She's actively thinking about you, checking your social media, studying your responses, questioning whether you still feel the same, and wondering if she misjudged your level of interest. And something interesting happens when a woman starts thinking about you. Her emotions follow her thoughts. A woman cannot desire a man she doesn't think about. She cannot respect a man who is always available. She cannot feel attracted to a man who is emotionally predictable. Detachment breaks that pattern. It reintroduces the unknown. It brings back the unpredictability that creates romantic tension. She begins to feel pulled toward you without even understanding why. This is not a trick. It's biology. Humans crave what is not guaranteed. In detachment, she also starts reevaluating how she treated you. She replays moments where she dismissed your effort, where she took your presence for granted, where she didn't appreciate the man you were trying to be. When you were always there, she didn't have to think about these things, but now your absence forces her to reflect. She may feel regret, she may feel guilt, she may feel fear, she may feel a sudden desire to correct the imbalance. All of this comes from the mental pressure your silence creates. A woman's respect grows when she realizes you are not dependent on her reactions for emotional stability. When you detach, she sees you differently. She sees a man who doesn't break when she pulls away. She sees a man who doesn't beg, cling, or chase. She sees a man who moves forward with his life instead of waiting for her approval. This is a rare energy, and women instantly feel it. A man who is detached radiates a confidence that cannot be faked. Your detachment also forces her to confront her own level of emotional investment. She may have believed she could keep you as an option. Your silence challenges that assumption. She may have thought she had unlimited time to decide how she felt about you. Your detachment reminds her that emotional access to you is a privilege, not a guarantee. She may have believed you were always going to be there. Detachment breaks that illusion and introduces the possibility that you may actually be gone. This possibility, losing you, creates urgency, and urgency creates value. She may begin initiating more. She may become more responsive. She may show more vulnerability. She may ask deeper questions. She may push for clarity. These behaviors are signs that her mind is now working to reconnect with you, not the other way around. The mental labor shifts from you chasing her to her chasing certainty. In Corey Wayne's philosophy, detachment is not a tactic. It's alignment with your masculine frame. You detach because your life demands your energy more than someone else's opinion does. You detach because you care about your mission more than you care about temporary emotional comfort. You detach because your self-worth isn't tied to whether she texts you back or not. This mindset is what women find deeply attractive, even if they don't consciously articulate it. When her mind starts reevaluating you, she begins to feel a different kind of attraction. It's not based on your words or your effort, it's based on your energy. Without realizing it, she starts to admire your discipline. She admires your emotional control. She admires your independence. She admires that you didn't crumble when she pulled back. This admiration becomes the foundation of renewed respect. And respect is what moves a woman closer. When she respects you, she listens to you, she values you, she treats you better, she becomes more affectionate, more attentive, more consistent. She stops testing your boundaries because she now sees that you live by them. She invests emotionally because she feels safe in your strength. She chooses you because she feels drawn to the man you became through detachment, not the man you were when you were seeking validation. Detachment is the ultimate truth serum. When you step back, you stop influencing her with your effort, your presence, your reassurance, or your emotional availability. You remove your energy from the equation, and what's left is her real behavior, unfiltered, unprompted, and undeniable. Most men never get to see a woman's true intentions because they're constantly filling the space with action, trying to fix things, trying to keep her interested, or trying to make the relationship work. But the moment you detach, all of that noise disappears, and you finally get a clear view of who she actually is. If a woman cares, she will move toward you when you detach. You won't have to chase or convince her. Her natural instinct will be to reach out, to check on you, to reestablish the connection. She'll send the first text, ask how you're doing, try to make plans, or find subtle ways to pull herself back into your life. This is how you know she values you. Women show interest through effort, consistency, and initiative, not words, promises, or excuses. Your detachment gives her the opportunity to reveal that. But if she doesn't care, detachment exposes that truth just as clearly. She won't reach out, she won't put in effort, she won't miss you. And while that may sting, it's also a blessing, because you save yourself from investing into someone who never intended to reciprocate. Detachment protects you from illusions. It eliminates the guessing, the confusion, the overthinking. You stop trying to read mixed signals and start reading her actions instead. In this clarity, you regain your power. You stop wasting energy on someone who wouldn't fight for you. You let the wrong woman fall away so the right one can step forward. And in the end, nothing earns your self-respect more than seeing the truth and choosing better because of it. When you detach, you create a space that naturally invites respect, attraction, and emotional clarity. Women are drawn to men who are grounded in their mission, who aren't swayed by temporary emotions, and who don't abandon themselves just to keep someone close. Detachment sends a powerful message. You value yourself, your time, and your peace. This sets a standard. It shows her that if she wants a place in your life, she must match your energy, effort, and respect. Respect grows in the space where you are no longer overly available or emotionally reactive. When you stop trying to prove your worth, she starts recognizing it on her own. Your silence becomes strength, your distance becomes discipline, and your independence becomes attractive. A woman feels safe with a man who is self-led because his stability allows her femininity to relax. She feels more secure when she knows you won't be shaken by drama, tests, or emotional storms. That steadiness makes her lean in, not pull away. Detachment also gives her room to choose you willingly rather than out of habit or convenience. When you step back, you're no longer forcing the connection. She has to decide whether she wants to invest. This voluntary choice deepens the bond because relationships built on mutual desire, not pressure, always last longer. The more she sees you focused on your purpose and living with intention, the more she respects you. And respect is the foundation of lasting attraction. Most importantly, detachment helps you grow. It forces you to strengthen your boundaries, reconnect with your mission, and regain emotional balance. You become a better man, and a better man naturally attracts better treatment. The version of you that emerges through detachment is the version she can truly admire, trust, and commit to.